Yeah, hi Lehigh Valley, it's Lori Lee. I'm up here today at Lehigh Valley International Airport, and I am speaking with Thomas Stoudt, and Thomas is Executive Director of LVIA, so ABE, as many of you know it. We're talking today about Real ID and when you're going to need Real ID to travel. So, Tom, tell us a little bit about it, please.
Sure, absolutely. So, Real ID is something that's coming very quickly, and this is a national concern for air travelers, but certainly it affects all of our friends and families here in the Lehigh Valley. Starting May the 7th, everyone who needs to travel domestically will need a Real ID. Real ID compliant documents, there's a long list of those available on TSA.gov, the website. You can view what sorts of identification qualify as compliant with Real ID. The most common one we think about is your driver's license, and not all driver's licenses are Real ID compliant.
Right.
So having that gold star on your driver's license means it's Real ID compliant. Most people may also have a passport or a passport card. Also, those are Real ID compliant. The catch is making sure it's part of your pre-travel checklist. Most people who fly domestically don't think about bringing a passport or a passport card. We were joined here at ABE today by PennDOT Secretary for the Department of Transportation, Mike Carroll. Mike Carroll was quick to point out that only 26% of Pennsylvanians have a Real ID to date.
Wow, so there's not very many at this point, only 26%.
About a quarter of our Commonwealth residents have a Real ID. So we want to make sure that people understand this requirement. We want to make sure that people also understand when they approach the TSA at any airport, they're going to be asked for an identification document, their driver's license. If they do not have a Real ID compliant document, that's going to be a short trip because you're not going to be able to fly.
Right.
And we want to avoid that. We want to make sure people understand that this is a very real requirement, that this is going to be in effect in about 5 weeks.
Wow,
And
that's coming very
up
fast. Yes,
it's
very
going
fast.
Very fast. And so we want to make sure people have thought this through, have taken the appropriate steps. Some people think they may not be traveling this year, but sometimes plans change,
Right.
things happen, and you may not be planning to travel, but you need to travel. And you don't want to wait to the last minute to figure out that you're going to have a problem when you approach the TSA checkpoint. So we're asking people to review their documents, make sure they have, you can go on TSA.gov and review what those documents are. If you don't have one, make sure you get one. I myself have a Real ID Pennsylvania driver's license, and I know because I always carry that document with me. I don't want to think about having to have a special card or document with me when I travel. I have my wallet,
Right.
which always has my driver's license.
Okay.
So again, just a reminder that requirement is coming. We want to make sure people are aware. We want people to have a great experience when they fly local, when they fly ABE,
Yeah.
and that's all part of what today's messaging is about.
Okay. And they're going to need that Real ID for other things too, aren't they, Tom?
Absolutely. To get into a federal courthouse, a military base, there's a number of other situations where they will have to have a Real ID document. And so whether you're flying or there's some other instance where you would have to have that type of documentation, we want to make sure people are aware this requirement's coming. Some folks have stopped paying attention to it a little bit because over time during the pandemic, that date was moved.
Right.
The date, in terms of when that requirement is going to be in place. That's not the case anymore. We're not moving the goalposts. This is the date, May 7th. It's coming. It's rapidly approaching. We're in April. We want to make sure people are ready to fly.
Yeah. So you hear that, Lehigh Valley? So it's very critical that you have the Real ID before you travel, because if you don't, what's going to happen when they come here?
You won't travel.
They won't travel. So even if you have those tickets to go somewhere and you have plans this summer, you won't be traveling unless you have that Real ID. And is there any way around that? Is there any other documents other than the Real ID itself?
Just the Real ID compatible documents, and again, there's a list on the TSA's website, tsa.gov, where
Okay.
you can find a complete list of all acceptable Real ID compliant documents. Of course, your driver's license is an easy one, passport or passport card. In certain cases, military ID, some other identifications are also compliant, but you need to check to make sure that you are in possession of a real ID before you attempt to fly.
Okay. All right. So there you have it, Lehigh Valley, right from Tom. And Tom Stoudt, Executive Director up here, Lehigh Valley International Airport. And you want to make sure you have your real ID. It's very important before you travel.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Have a
Thanks.
good day.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you.